Now to a 2 News investigation, sacred security.
It's almost hard to believe, but local churches and temples are increasingly becoming the targets of burglars and robbers.
Pam Elliott investigated what pastors face as they try to keep crime from invading these places of faith.
Through the centuries, religious organizations have had to deal with hate crimes. But these days, the crimes that we see out on the street are making their way into places like this church. And the problem is, unlike a convenience store, many churches are ill-equipped to handle them. There were no surveillance cameras to catch the crooks who jackhammered this safe at St. Christopher. Kathy Campbell remembers the March morning she came to work and walked in on a police investigation.
It was a real mess. I mean, we couldn't move anything, we couldn't clean anything up until after they were done with their investigation.
Vandalia police have yet to find the thieves who got away with thousands of dollars. But if they were to strike again, St. Christopher has faith the church would be better prepared.
We did put in some new security systems that we're just adjusting to. So
is that with keys, or is that with cameras,
different types of keys and things like that. I can't get into the details of exactly what it is that we put into place.
Churches are reluctant to talk about security measures. They don't want to give away their secrets, and they don't want to appear as if they're locking people out. As Grace Baptist in Mason expands, it's spending tens of thousands of dollars on alarms, sensors, and a key card swiping system to replace keys that can be duplicated. Pastor Andy Ziegenfuss started with a free security audit by Miles Ahead Technology. The Miamisburg company says recently there's been a significant increase in religious leaders requesting services.
Yes, I do trust the Lord, but at the same time I think it's important for our people to know that we are taking certain steps of planning to protect them and to protect the facilities and the resources that God has given to us, because we are stewards of them.
Do you worry that the church will be less inviting?
There's always that risk, but I'd like to think that people aren't going to sense a feeling of not being invited simply because they can't walk freely around a church building.
Mark Stuzik served as a major on the Dayton Police Department, where he saw violence involving churches escalate. Now retired, he uses his experience helping churches come up with security plans. It's his ministry.
Well, I think our culture's changed. I think the moral fabric of our culture has changed to the place that churches, schools, universities are no longer considered off limits for violence.
2 News took a magnifying glass to the last 5 years of Dayton police stats under the category Church, Temple, Synagogue. There are hundreds of incidents listed. Breaking and entering and theft were the most common. And so far this year, there have been more than a dozen such crimes in Dayton alone.
We're not here to stop you from coming. We're here so that you can come.
Large churches like Living Word invest in cameras and a security director who can monitor them from home. However, Stuzik says the average church in America is made up of 120 people, so its pastor is unlikely to have the resources and the people to turn to who can help keep watch over the congregation. This church in Xenia sees fewer than 100 every week. Last fall, a thief took thousands of dollars from here. Now the doors are double locked and donations get to the bank quicker. The pastor says that's all he can afford to change at this time.
It's hard to accept that something like that will happen and can happen, but it is the reality that we're facing.
Now, security firms that specialize in equipping churches say the way to start is with a security assessment, and that can be free. You just need to make an appointment, and there are several we consulted. If you go to WDTN.com and look up this report, you'll find some helpful links.
It's a shame we have to do this, though, isn't
it? It really is. It's today's world, I guess. As you mentioned, though, most churches are pretty low-budget, operations. They don't have the resources. What can they do on their own without actually, taking the step of hiring a security firm?
Well, Mark Stuzik did suggest improve your lighting. You'll add some extra locks. Those aren't as costly, those types of measures. Also, be open with your congregation. A lot of pastors are still uncomfortable talking about it, but if they recruit some members of their own congregation who might have a law enforcement background, then maybe those people are going to be willing to volunteer. Maybe keep extra eyes on the doors as people come and go just to see if there's anything suspicious, and then maybe even come up with a security plan. Suggest to the religious leaders what they might do in case. Again, it's just preparation. It's keeping an eye keeping an eye out. You don't want to worry too much. You want to go to church and feel safe.
Right, exactly.
But the world we live in, you've got to take some precautions.
And be prepared, that's right.
All being
Interesting.
good stewards. Thank you, Pam.